Imagine for a second that you possess a superpower. You can X-ray the modern world.
Okay.
I want you to look past the skin of the city you live in. Look through the concrete of the skyscrapers. Look beneath the asphalt of the roads you drive on. And even look right through the plastic and glass casing of the device you're using to listen to this right now. What do you actually see?
You see the Earth. Literally.
Literally the Earth.
Every single beam of steel holding up that building, every copper wire transmitting data, every little bit of electricity flowing through those wires, it all starts as a rock, buried deep underground.
It is a high-stakes realization, isn't it? We like to think of civilization as this, abstract human achievement distinct from nature, but really we are just very sophisticated geologists who learn how to dig.
Precisely. And for a nation like India, this isn't just an academic discussion about rocks and stones. It is a conversation about survival. It's about the economy. It is about industrial might. And as we will see, it is deeply, inextricably tied to geopolitics.
That is exactly what we are unpacking today. Welcome to another deep dive. And I have to say, this one is special. We are doing a full, comprehensive summary focused specifically for the UPSC examination.
Right, and this is brought to you by the Simplified UPSC by PPP YouTube channel.
We're taking the source material, specifically Chapter 7 of the NCERT Class 12 book, India, People and Economy, and we aren't just reading it, we are dissecting it.
We're going to map India's geological wealth, understand that critical difference between conventional and non-conventional energy, and this is the part that matters most for our aspirants. We're going to link every single concept through actual UPSC previous year questions, or PYQs.
Because theory is great, but passing the exam is, well, it's better.
It's the whole point.
Exactly. But before we get our hands dirty with iron ore and coal dust, I have a humble request for you, the listener. If you find value in what we're doing, if this helps you understand the world or, helps you crack that exam, please go over to the Simplified UPSC by PPP YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button.
It really does make a huge difference. It tells the algorithm that this is useful stuff. And for those of you who are capable and want to ensure we can keep creating this super useful content.
Yeah, there is a request to support the channel on Patreon. It keeps the lights on and the research going.
It really does.
And we seriously couldn't do this without you. A massive warm shout out to all our current supporters. You guys are the bedrock, pun intended, of this whole operation.
Absolutely.
Also, please don't forget to like the video and leave a comment. We read them, and they really help other learners like you find this content.
And for the serious students listening, a quick logistical note. Free notes that accompany this deep dive, along with practice previous year questions, they're available right now on the public Telegram channel.
And if you want the premium experience, I'm talking organized, detailed notes, extra PYQs, and even model mains answers, you can join the private Telegram library.
How do they do that?
Just DM the team on the public Telegram channel to get access. Okay, housekeeping done. Let's get into the ground.
Let's do it.
So our map for today is Chapter 7, Mineral and Energy Resources. Let's start at the very, very beginning, the building blocks. What exactly are we looking for when we say mineral? Because to me, a rock is a rock.
Well, to a geologist, a rock is an aggregate of minerals. The NCERT gives us a very strict definition. A mineral is a natural substance. It can be organic or inorganic, and it has definite chemical and physical properties.
Okay.
But the real story starts with how we classify them. It's like a family tree.
Right. At the top, you've got the main split, metallic versus non-metallic.
Correct. Metallic minerals are your source of metals, iron, copper, gold, you name it. And within that, we have another crucial split that the UPSC absolutely loves.
Which is?
Ferrous and non-ferrous.
Ferrous comes from the Latin ferrum, right? For iron.
Exactly. Ferrous minerals contain iron. This is your iron or your manganese. These are the absolute backbone of heavy industry.
And non-ferrous.
Simple. They don't contain iron, so things like copper or bauxite, that's a vital distinction for industrial application for their properties.
And then on the other side of that family tree, the non-metallic ones.
These are either organic like fossil fuels, coal, and petroleum.
Buried history.
That's a great way to put it. Dead plants and animals from millions of years ago. Or they're inorganic, like mica, limestone, and graphite.
Okay, so we have the categories. But here's something that always strikes me about geology. It seems, well, unfair.
Unfair? How so?
Well, you don't just find gold in your backyard, right?
Yeah.
The distribution seems so chaotic. Why does Karkand get all the coal and say Kerala gets practically none? It feels like nature just played favorites.
It isn't chaotic, but you're right, it is incredibly uneven. In fact, there are three fundamental characteristics of minerals that I like to call the tragedy of minerals.
A tragedy of minerals. I like that. Let's break them down. What is tragedy number one?
First, just as you noted, uneven distribution. They are tied to very specific geological structures. You won't find iron ore in the alluvial plains of the Ganges because the geology there is too young. It's all sediment.
It's new land.
Exactly. You find it in the old hard rocks of the plateau. The resource map of India is incredibly, incredibly lopsided.
Okay, so geography is destiny, at least for minerals.
Mm.
What's the second tragedy?
The inverse relationship between quality and quantity.
Ah, so the better the stuff is, the less of it there is?
Exactly. It's a cruel joke of nature.
Yeah.
We have massive reserves of low-grade coal, for example, but very little of the high-grade coking coal we desperately need for steelmaking. We have lots of low-grade iron ore, but the super high-grade stuff is limited.
It's like having a huge library, but most of the books are just okay.
That's a perfect analogy.
And the third characteristic, the third tragedy.
The third is the most sobering one. Exhaustibility.
Right, they don't grow back.
They are non-renewable. Geologically, they take millions and millions of years to form. In human terms, once they are gone forever.
Wow.
As the text says, they do not have a second crop. If you harvest wheat, you can plant again next year. If you harvest a coal mine, all you have left is a hole in the ground.
That puts a ticking clock on industrialization, doesn't it? It adds a layer of urgency to everything we're about to discuss. Now, before we map out where these things actually are, who are the detectives, who's finding them, the text lists a whole alphabet soup of agencies.
It does. And you should know these acronyms, they pop up. You have the GSI, the Geological Survey of India. That's the granddaddy of them all. Then you have more specific bodies like the ONGC.
Oil and Natural Gas Corporation.
Right, for oil and gas. Then MECL, the Mineral Exploration Corporation, LTD, NMDC, a whole host of them. They're the ones out there surveying, prospecting, and basically telling the government, dig here.
Okay, so let's fly over India with our special mineral detecting goggles on. The insert talks about specific belts. If I'm looking at a map, where are the hotspots? Where should I be telling the government to dig?
We generally identify three broad belts, plus the Himalayan region, which is a bit of a special case. But the most important one, the absolute heavyweight champion of Indian industry, is the northeastern plateau region.
This is the area covering the Chotnagpur Plateau, right? So Jharkhand, Orissa, West Bengal.
That's the one. Think of this as India's Ruhr Valley, or its steel belt. It is incredibly geologically unique because you have a convergence of everything you need for heavy industry in one compact place.
So it's not just one thing, it's the combination.
It's the combination. You have iron ore, you have coal, you have manganese, bauxite, and mica, all practically next to each other.
It's like a geological buffet.
It is, and that answers a question that's often asked. Why are all the major historical steel plants, Jamshedpur, Durgapur, Bokaro, located right here? It's not an accident, it's geology. The coal and iron are practically neighbors.
Which slashes your transportation costs.
Hugely, and that is the primary driver in classical industrial location theory.
Okay, moving across the map. Let's head southwest. What's happening in Karnataka, Goa?
This is the southwestern plateau region. It covers Karnataka, Goa, and the uplands of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Now, this belt is rich in ferrous metals and bauxite. It has fantastic high-grade iron ore, lots of manganese, but it has a fatal flaw compared to the Northeast.
My guess, no coal.
Exactly. It is deficient in coal, with the major exception of the lignite deposits in Navali, Tamil Nadu, but that's a lower-grade coal.
So that makes power generation and smelting more expensive. You have to ship the fuel in.
Right. It's a huge logistical challenge. However, Kerala offers something really unique here. Monazite sands and thorium.
Ah, the nuclear angle.
The nuclear angle, critical for energy security. We will definitely circle back to that.
Okay, so then we have the northwestern region, up in Rajasthan and Gujarat. What's the story there?
This region is associated with the Darwar system of rocks in the Aravalli Range. Here, the menu changes completely. It's not about iron anymore. It's about non-ferrous metals.
Like what?
Copper and zinc, primarily. But Rajasthan is also the capital of building materials.
The marble and sandstone.
Exactly. Sandstone, granite, marble, gypsum. If you're building a monument, you go to Rajasthan. And then Gujarat brings the energy connection to this belt with its petroleum and salt resources.
So if the Northeast builds the steel frame of the country, the Northwest powers it and, I guess, clothes it in stone.
That's a great way to think about it.
And finally, just briefly, the Himalayan belt.
It's the one with the most potential but also the most challenges. It's harder to access because of the terrain, rugged mountains, difficult logistics, but there is potential for copper, lead, zinc, cobalt, and tungsten. For now, though, let's be honest, the Indian economy runs on the backbone of that peninsular plateau.
Right. So let's zoom in on that backbone. Section 2 of our deep dive, ferrous minerals. And we have to start with iron ore. The text calls it the heavyweight.
And for good reason. India has the largest reserve of iron ore in Asia. We're talking about two main types here that you need to know: hematite and magnetite.
And these are the good ones.
These are high-grade ores with huge international demand, especially magnetite.
So where are we digging this stuff up? Let's get specific with the locations, because I know the UPSC loves to ask for north to south arrangements or specific mine names in their questions.
Absolutely. The leading producer, state-wise, is Orissa. You have the hill ranges in Sundargarh and Mayurbhanj. Names like the Guru Mahisani and Badampahar mines are legendary in Indian geology.
Okay, and then you have the oldest mines, which are in Jharkhand.
Yes, places like Noamundi and Gua in the Singphum district. These have been active for decades and decades. The original Tata steel plants were fed from these mines.
I also heard a lot about the Bailadila range in Chhattisgarh.
Bailadila is fascinating. The name literally translates to hump of an ox because that's what the hill range looks like from a distance.
No way.
Yes, and it produces super high-grade hematite ore in the Dantewar district. This isn't just for domestic use. A lot of this gets exported straight to Japan and South Korea through the port of Vishakhapatnam.
And then down south in Karnataka, you have Kudramukh, another animal name.
Another animal name. Kudramukh means horse face in Canada. The deposits here are located very close to the coast, which makes them essentially an export-oriented resource. In fact, they used to pump the ore as a slurry, a mix of ore and water, through a pipeline directly to the port at Mangalore.
A pipeline of rock.
An incredible engineering feat.
Now hold on. This brings us to our first major linkage to the UPSC exams. You mentioned mines are in the interior, but exports happen at the coast. I'm looking at the 2020 GS1 question 7 and a similar one from 2014, GS1 question 23.
Ah, yes, these are classic economic geography questions. The 2020 question asked to account for the present location of iron and steel industries away from the source of raw material.
Right, because the textbook and common sense tells us that traditionally, steel plants sit right on top of the coal and iron mines. This is the weight-losing principle, isn't it? You don't want to transport heavy rocks if you don't have to.
Exactly. That's the classic Weber's theory of industrial location. If you need, say, 4 tons of coal and 2 tons of iron ore to make 1 ton of steel, you build the factory near the coal and the iron. That's why Jamshedpur and Bokaro are where they are in the interior, right in that Chertonukpur belt.
But the question is asking about the deviation. Why are they moving away from that model now?
It's a combination of factors, and this is the nuance UPSC wants. First, the resource mix is changing. India is short on high-quality coking coal, the specific type needed to melt iron in a blast furnace.
So we have to import it.
We have to import it. So if you're importing high-grade coking coal from, say, Australia, does it make sense to put it on a train and haul it all the way inland to Jharkhand?
No, of course not.
Or does it make more sense to build the steel plant right at the port?
Ah, so you build it at Vizag or Ratnagiri, you bring the coal in by ship, you bring the iron ore down from the hills by train, and you make the steel right there at the coast.
Precisely. And from the coast, you can either sell to the domestic market or easily export the finished steel. It's a shift from a raw material-based location to a coastal or market-based location.
That is such a crucial insight. So the NCERT gives you the foundation, the crescent-shaped region of raw materials, but the PYQs ask you to look at the deviation from that pattern.
That's how you get the extra marks. It shows a deeper understanding of logistics, global trade, and changing economic realities. It's not just about where the rocks are. It's about the entire supply chain.
Brilliant. Okay, moving on from iron, let's talk about its sidekick, the hardener manganese.
Yes.
What do we use manganese for? Why is it important?
It's essential for smelting iron ore and making ferroalloys. It makes steel tough and resistant to rusting. You can't make good quality steel without it. It's like the salt in the soup, a small amount, but absolutely essential.
And the distribution. Does it follow iron ore?
It's often found in the same geological systems, the Darwar system. Again, Orissa leads the pack districts like Bonaik and Duchar. But we also see significant deposits in Karnataka and Maharashtra. Now, here is a logistical headache that the text points out.
What's that?
The mines in Maharashtra, in Nagpur and Bandara, are located quite a distance from the major steel plants. This adds to the transportation cost, which ultimately makes the steel more expensive.
It's always about the distance, isn't it? The tyranny of distance. Oh, okay, let's pivot. Section 3. We've done the heavy ferrous metals. What about the non-ferrous and non-metallic side of things?
This is where the story for India gets a bit mixed. The NCERT is quite blunt about it. India is poorly endowed with non-ferrous metallic minerals.
So we just didn't win that part of the geological lottery.
Pretty much, we just don't have a lot of copper, lead, zinc, or gold. It's a geological weakness we have to manage.
But there's one exception where we seem to punch above our weight.
Yes, and that is bauxite.
The ore for aluminium.
Exactly. And here, India is actually quite strong.
Why is that? What's the geology?
Bauxite is typically associated with laterite rocks, which are found on plateaus and hill ranges where there's been intense weathering. And once again, Orissa is the largest producer districts like Kalahandi and Sambalpur are key. You also find it in places like the Amarkantak Plateau in Madhya Pradesh.
And aluminium is hugely important.
It's the metal of the future. Lightweight, strong, doesn't rust. It's vital for everything from aircraft and automobiles to electrical wiring and, soda cans.
Right. But copper?
Yeah.
You said copper's a problem area.
It is. Copper is the conductor. It's malleable, ductile, absolutely essential for the electrical industry. But we face a real scarcity. Our domestic production often falls far short of our demand.
Which means we have to import it.
Which means we have to import it, which has implications for our trade balance and our strategic autonomy.
Where do we find what little we do have?
The 3 key areas to remember are the Balaghat mines in Madhya Pradesh, the Singham district in Jharkhand, and the very famous Khetri and Janshunu mines in Rajasthan.
Khetri, that has an ancient history, doesn't it?
It does. People have been mining copper there for centuries, maybe even millennia.
Okay, and finally for this section, a non-metallic star, mica.
Mica is the insulator. It's a fascinating mineral because it has this perfect cleavage, meaning it splits into these incredibly thin, tough, flexible sheets.
And India is a big player here.
A dominant player. The Hazarabad Belt in Jharkhand and the Nellore Belt in Andhra Pradesh produce some of the best quality mica in the entire world. It's absolutely critical for the electronics industry. Without mica as an insulator, high-voltage equipment becomes very, very difficult to manage safely.
If we've built the machine with steel and aluminum, we've wired it with the copper we have, and we've insulated it with our world-class mica. Now we need to turn it on.
Yes, we do.
Section 4, conventional energy resources.
Energy. This is the engine of the economy. And historically, for India and the world, that engine has run on one thing above all else: coal.
The text mentions 2 main types of coal based on geological age, Gondwana and tertiary. What's the difference, and why should a student care?
It's a critical distinction. Gondwana coal is the old stuff, about 200 million years old. It accounts for something like 98% of our total reserves. This is the high-quality industrial workhorse coal.
And where do we find it?
It's found in the great river valleys of the peninsula. The Damodar Valley, the Godavari, the Mahanadi, the Son. Major fields like Charia, which is the largest coal field in India, and Raniganj are all Gondwana coal fields.
And tertiary coal.
Tertiary is the young coal, only about 55 million years old. You find this mostly in the northeast Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya. It's generally got higher sulfur content and is less abundant.
Now, I want to bring in a specific exam question here. This is a prelims question from 2013, CSP question 61. It asked about the characteristics of Indian coal.
This is a classic fact-check question that trips a lot of people up.
What's the key takeaway?
The key characteristics are that Indian coal generally has high ash content and low sulfur content.
High ash content. That sounds bad. What does that actually mean?
It is bad. It means that when you burn a ton of it, a large percentage of it doesn't actually produce energy. It just turns into ash, which is waste. It's not very thermally efficient. It clogs up boilers and power plants and is just generally inefficient.
So we have a lot of it, but it's not great quality.
Exactly. And that high ash content is the primary reason why, despite having the 4th or 5th largest reserves in the world, we still have to import huge amounts of coking coal for our steel plants.
It connects right back to the steel plant location issue we discussed. We import coking coal because our domestic coal is high ash and not suitable for blast furnaces.
Everything is connected. Our geology dictates our trade deficit. We have the quantity of thermal coal for power, but not the specific quality needed for steel.
Amazing. Okay, let's move from solid black to liquid gold. Petroleum.
Petroleum is a fascinating story because the map has changed so dramatically in just 70 years.
Right. The text says that before 1956, Digboy in Assam was the only oil field in the entire country.
Can you imagine that? An entire nation trying to industrialize, dependent on one single field in the far northeastern corner. But then the ONGC was set up and exploration began in earnest.
And we found oil in Gujarat.
Yes, in Gujarat and Kaleshwa, that was a big step. But then the real game changer came in 1973, Mumbai High.
The offshore field. This brings us to another PYQ linkage. There was a 2013 GS1 question on shale gas and a 2025 GS1 question 14, which asked for a geographical explanation of offshore versus onshore oil reserves. So why do we drill in the ocean? I mean, Mumbai High is 160 kilometers out at sea. That seems incredibly difficult and expensive.
It is, but you go where the oil is. It goes back to geology. Oil and natural gas are found in sedimentary basins. These basins don't just stop at the coastline. They often extend out into the continental shelf under the ocean.
So the rock structure continues underwater.
Precisely. The discovery of Mumbai High completely shifted India's energy gravity from the Far East, from Assam to the West Coast. It also required a massive leap in technology, huge platforms, specialized ships, helicopters, the whole 9 yards.
And now we're looking at the East Coast again, specifically the KG Basin, the Krishna Godavari Basin.
The KG Basin is the new frontier, particularly for natural gas. Reliance made huge findings there in the early 2000s, and this brings up the next critical point: infrastructure.
The pipelines.
The pipelines. You can't have energy without transport. The text specifically mentions the HVJ pipeline, which is the Hazira Vijaypur Jagdishpur pipeline. This was a landmark project.
These are the arteries, aren't they? They carry the gas from the coast to the industrial heartland.
They are the nation's energy arteries. We pump gas from offshore in the west through this pipeline to fertilizer plants in Uttar Pradesh to help grow food for the northern plains. It connects the energy source directly to the market.
It's amazing. It's human infrastructure trying to overcome the constraints of geography.
That is the very definition of economic geography. It's human ingenuity fighting against or working with our given geological constraints.
But all these fossil fuels are, they're dirty. We know that. So what about the bridge to the future? Let's talk about Section 5, nuclear energy.
Nuclear is strategic. It's high-tech, it's clean in terms of carbon emissions, but it requires very specific minerals, uranium and thorium.
Right. And where do we find them?
Uranium is a bit scattered. It's found in the Darwar rocks in the Singham copper belt, some in Rajasthan near Udaipur and Alwar. We don't have vast reserves, but thorium is India's ace in the hole.
This is the Kerala connection you mentioned earlier.
This is it. The beach sands of Kerala, specifically in Palakkad and Kollam districts, are rich in a mineral called monazite.
And monazite contains thorium.
A lot of it.
Wow.
India has the world's richest monazite deposits. Now, if we can fully master the technology to use thorium in our reactors, which is the planned third stage of our nuclear program, we have enough energy for centuries.
A potential game changer.
A complete game changer for our energy security.
So we have the fuel, potentially, and we have the plants. The text lists them: Tarapur in Maharashtra, Ropada in Rajasthan, Kalpakam in Tamil Nadu, Narora in UP, Kaiga in Karnataka, Kakrapara in Gujarat. Listeners, you really need to map these mentally.
Absolutely. They are critical nodes in our energy security grid. And they are very often the target of match the following type questions in the prelims exam.
But even nuclear has its own issues. Waste disposal, safety concerns. The world, and India with it, is shifting ever more towards non-conventional energy, the sustainable shift. This is Section 6.
And why the shift? It's really two simple reasons. First, as we said, fossil fuels are exhaustible. They will run out. And second, they are a major cause of environmental pollution and climate change. Renewables are the answer.
Let's start with the big one, solar. The text makes a pretty bold claim that it's 7% more effective than coal and 10% more than nuclear. What does that mean?
That likely refers to the efficiency in specific contexts, maybe life cycle efficiency, but the real advantage is much simpler. The sun doesn't send you an invoice at the end of the month.
Good point. The fuel is free. And geographically, the western part of India, Gujarat, and Rajasthan is basically a gold mine for sunlight.
It is. We have a direct linkage here to 2025 GS1, question 6, and a prelims question from 2018, CSP question 67. The 2025 question asks about the ecological and economic benefits of solar.
Let's break that down. What's the expert insight there?
Economically, solar is becoming incredibly cost competitive. But more importantly, it allows for decentralized energy. Imagine a remote village in Rajasthan that is too far from the main grid. Running a cable there could cost millions.
But you could just put up some solar panels.
And they have power Power for water pumps, for heaters, crop dryers, lighting. It empowers them directly.
And ecologically, that's a no-brainer.
Zero emissions at the point of generation. It helps India meet its international climate goals under the Paris Agreement.
Okay, but what about that 2018 question? That one was a bit trickier.
That was a very tricky one. It was about silicon wafers and solar tariffs, and it highlights a critical weakness in India's solar story. While we have the sun, we often lack the domestic manufacturing capacity for the high-tech components, specifically the photovoltaic cells, the silicon wafers. We import a lot of that technology primarily from China.
So while the resource, the sunlight, is domestic, the technology supply chain is still a vulnerability.
A major vulnerability. That's the kind of nuance the UPSC looks for. It's not enough to say India has sun. You need to understand the manufacturing and geopolitical dependencies as well.
That's a crucial point. Okay, what about wind energy?
Wind is huge for us, too. The potential is massive, around 50,000 milliW according to the text.
And where does it happen? Where do you build a wind farm?
You need consistent, strong airflow. So coastal areas are ideal. Rajasthan with its open spaces, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka. The text specifically mentions the wind farm at Lamba in Gujarat as the largest in Asia, and another major one in Tuticorin, Tamil Nadu.
Kinetic energy to electrical energy. Clean and simple. I know we have the more niche sources mentioned in the chapter. Title, geothermal, bioenergy.
Right. Tidal has a lot of potential along the West Coast, but the technology is still very expensive, so it hasn't been fully tapped yet.
And geothermal.
Geothermal is fascinating. It's using the heat from the Earth's interior. There's an operational plant at Manakaran in Himachal Pradesh.
Manakaran, isn't that famous for its hot springs, where pilgrims cook rice in the boiling water?
That's the one. That natural heat is a source of energy. We're essentially tapping into the Earth's own boiler. And finally, you have bioenergy, the waste-to-wealth concept.
The Okla project in Delhi.
That's the classic example cited in the NCERT, taking municipal solid waste and burning it to generate electricity.
It solves two massive urban problems at once. What to do with all the trash and where to get more power.
Exactly. And it also improves the rural economy by reducing the pressure on firewood for fuel, which has health and environmental benefits. It's a real win-win.
So we've surveyed the rocks, the oil, the atoms, and the sun. But as we wrap up, we need to synthesize all of this. Section 7. What does all this mean for India as a country operating on the world stage?
This is the so what section. This is where you connect geography to policy. And it connects directly to a brilliant question from 2025 GS2, question 19.
I have that question right here. It says, energy security constitutes the dominant kingpin of India's foreign policy. How would you integrate energy security with India's foreign policy trajectories?
That is a beautiful question because it forces you to look at the map from Chapter 7 and realize it is a map of our foreign policy needs. It's a map of our vulnerabilities.
How so? Walk us through that logic.
Okay. Look at what we lack. We lack oil. We are a net importer. We lack high-grade copper. We lack things like lithium for batteries. Because we lack oil, we must have good relations with the Middle East. We must navigate the complex politics of West Asia. That's not a choice. It's a geological necessity.
And because we have high-ash coal.
We must have a strong trading relationship with countries like Australia that can sell us the high-quality coking coal our steel mills need.
And because we have massive solar potential, but we need the technology and the capital.
We go out and create something like the International Solar Alliance with France to pool resources, to drive down costs, and to create a global market for solar technology.
So our geology literally dictates our diplomacy.
Perfectly put. Our geography creates the constraint. Our foreign policy tries to create the solution. When you study mineral and energy resources, you aren't just studying rocks and power plants. You are studying the fundamental reason why the Prime Minister visits certain countries. You're studying the drivers of our trade deficit. You're studying the physical, tangible constraints on our GDP growth.
That brings it all together in a way that just memorizing a list of mines and power plants never could. It turns the map into a strategy board.
It really, really does.
Okay, let's do a quick recap before we sign off to cement this for everyone.
Let's do it. We covered the mineral belts, the Northeast as the steel belt, the Southwest being rich in iron but poor in coal, and the Northwest providing non-ferrous metals and building stones.
We covered the metals, iron ore, and that crucial shift from raw material locations to coastal locations.
Right. We talked about manganese, bauxite as our great strength, and copper as our weakness.
Then we hit energy. We talked about coal and the high ash problem, petroleum and the big shift from onshore to offshore.
Nuclear, with India's thorium potential being the key takeaway, and of course the big renewable push into solar and wind, understanding both the opportunities and the technological challenges.
And we linked it all back to the fact that our industries, our economy, and even our foreign policy are all shaped by this geological map under our feet.
That's the summary in a nutshell.
Now, I want to leave our listeners with a final provocative thought. The NCERT explicitly says, and you quoted this earlier, minerals are exhaustible. They do not have a second crop.
It's a haunting phrase, isn't it?
It is. So here's the question. If India's current model of industrialization is built on this finite foundation, digging up iron and burning coal at record speeds, is our shift to non-conventional energy moving fast enough to prevent a collapse when the mines eventually run dry?
Or are we building a magnificent skyscraper on a foundation that is slowly but surely disappearing?
That is the question of the century.
Sustainability isn't just a buzzword. It's the cold, hard math of finite resources against infinite aspirations.
Something to mull over.
Indeed.
All right, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Just a reminder, this is a simplified UPSC by PPP production. We really hope this helps you map the geology of India, not just for the exam, but for understanding the news you read every day.
And if you learned something new, if this was valuable, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us immensely.
And if you are in a position to do so, please check out the Patreon link in the description to support us. We want to keep these deep dives coming for all of you.
Don't forget, head to the Telegram public channel for the free notes and all the PYQs we discussed today.
And for the serious aspirants, DM us on Telegram to join the private library for the premium notes and those invaluable model answers.
Keep learning, keep analyzing.
And keep digging deeper. We'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.